Wonder if your man truly loves you or if he's just kicking game? Well, stay tuned as I share with you the top 12 signs to look for if he really loves you. If you are excited about this topic, go ahead and subscribe to this channel, like, and hit that notification bell so you can stay in tune when I'm dropping dope content such as this. Before I met my husband, I was attracting all kind of playboys. Although I ended up in faithful relationships or committed relationships, so they say, I often find out that guys are playing games, either cheating on me or just really not taking the relationship serious. And I had to realize that something had to shift. So I was able to identify these top 12 things in my husband. And once I identified these things and recognized things, I was able to say, hey, he's a serious contender. And I was able to do so not in 3, 6, 9, 12 months, but within just a few short weeks. And I want to show you how to do the same. So let's get to it. Number one, he asks you to be in a committed relationship without any pressure of outside influences. It's not about, him feeling like if you're in a relationship, you guys will be able to be intimate or have a sexual relationship. None of that. He genuinely is digging you. And he's like, listen, she's a good catch and I want to take her off the market. So he asked for a commitment of a relationship without any other expectations that may go along with it. Let me say this. Unfortunately, we're in a time where it's almost assumed that when you're in a relationship that sex is going to come with it. And so that's not necessarily a red sign if he has expectation, but depending on if that's your agenda or not, if you're saying no, that's not something you're going to jump into, which is what I recommend, but to each his own. Let him know and see how he responds from there. And that's another sign that he really cares for you. If you can tell him, hey, we're going to be in a committed relationship, but this is not like a gateway or a rite to passage for us to be intimate. This is just really for us to commit to each other and consider each other further to see if it's makes sense for us to take this relationship to that next level, which would be engagement and ultimately marriage, if that's your desire. Okay, so that's one. He will commit to you, right? No kidding, no jokes, no hidden motives. Number two, he will make you a priority. This is him taking the initiative to make sure that he's getting on your calendar for dates. This is him that Sunday or Monday early in the week, or perhaps even after your last date, him planning for that next date or planning for you, asking you what's your availability and what's your time to make sure he secures a time on the calendar so you guys can have the opportunity to be together. This really is telling, because the guy that's really not tripping or really is kind of into his own thing and not really focused or in love with you, he is going to be in his own zone. He's not going to be thinking about making plans and arrangements with you. He'll get around to it when he can. He may even try to call you the day of and say, hey, do you want to go out? And you got to be really careful about that, because that's saying a lot that he's not considering your time, your priorities, other obligations, commitments that you have. And also, he didn't think enough of it to contact you before the day of to ask you to go out. Like, where they do that at? We ain't doing that. We ain't doing that. And so look and see if he's making you a priority. And we're not going to fuss about it if he's not. I just say, fall back, fall back, fall back. Hey, okay. Number three, let's talk about the third thing that you should look for if a man truly loves you and digging you in a relationship. He will profess his love from you, right? His love for you. This may be, and every guy doesn't do this. So I'm not saying if he doesn't do this, that he doesn't, but I'm saying that this is a good sign, right? So obviously posting you on his social media are telling you how much he's falling in love with you. So either it could be a verbal declaration out of his mouth that should align with his actions, because when you're going through this process, when you're dating, when you're in a relationship with somebody, it's just not about hearing what they say, but it's also about paying attention to what they do and what they don't do, right? So that profess can be either like through social media, or it could be through telling. Now, let me just say one other thing about social media from my own experience. Posting me on social media was one of the last things my husband did. But honestly, it became something when we were dating, of course. It became something that I ended up asking him about, because you know how we do, ladies. I noticed that there was other random girls in his pictures from previous And I was like, well, we've been dating for some time. Like, where's the social media love? And I needed that validation. I just did. And first, he didn't necessarily agree, but he eventually did it, not just really to make me happy. And that's a whole nother thing we'll get to in just another minute. But let me say this, because I always got to give these disclaimers. Even if somebody doesn't do it, doesn't mean he doesn't love you. Some men don't like to feel pressure to do things they don't want to do. So that really, in my case, was a gamble, and it's honestly something I don't recommend. Unfortunately, my husband did decide to make that sacrifice for me, but that could kind of backfire. So I'm not going to tell you to use it as a litmus test, but the takeaway here is look for signs that he's professing his love, either verbally through telling you, or showing and telling with his actions, whether that's on or offline in your life. Fourth thing, he wants to please you, which kind of spins off what I was just saying. He's willing to sacrifice his needs, his desires for yours. Now, we have to put things in proper perspective. Depending on where you are in this dating spectrum, a lot of people, let's just be honest, have children before they get married or from a prior marriage. So that person may have children. And so their child, they can't sacrifice certain things when it comes to their children, especially if they're like, they got to get their children on the weekends, or they're co-parenting. They may have less flexibility. So you have to understand what is reasonable to ask somebody to sacrifice. And they're going to have to make that for you as well. And so you have to know that when I'm thinking about it, something reasonable to sacrifice, obviously trading off going out with his friends to hang out with you. And that shouldn't always be a demand. And sometimes they won't have to trade off, but I think that's a good example to say, if you guys have plans and his friends are going somewhere, he's going to keep those plans with you, or find a way to still accommodate you and giving you advance notice about what those things are. So it's different ways that a man can sacrifice. He can sacrifice even just his energy and his time. One of the things, like, say, for example, my husband, he has like this rule: once he's in the house, he's not leaving. So I know that. So usually I try to ask him to get me things when he's already out. But sometimes that don't always work. And I try to use it sparingly, but sometimes I just ask him to please, hey, honey, can you please go to the store and get XYZ or do something? And he will do it. Although I know that is like a no for him. Every now and again, he will sacrifice. And a lot of times my husband's a professional, and also he's a national photographer, a worldwide photographer, really. And he's often working his business, editing, but he will step away and do that. And even like just the small things, like yesterday I was trying to get my camera and video right, and I couldn't get it. And he knows when he hears the frustration in my voice. And I'm like, babe, can you please help me with this? And he's like, yeah. No, he was in the middle of something, but he stopped what he's doing and he helped me with that. And these are small things, but the small sacrifices really matters. In those moments, we're looking for that person to support us emotionally, and it can make a big difference. So look for those small and large sacrifices. Okay, let's get to it. Number five. He wants you to be part of his inner circle. So he's excited to introduce you to his homeboys, maybe even to other girlfriends that he may have. Well, not too many, but that's a whole nother, that's another lie we'll get into another video. He may want to introduce you to his mother, right? That's an honor if a guy wants to introduce you to his mom. A lot of times he may be trying to vet, right? But I would tell you, and that's another video too, even when you do get the opportunity to meet his mother, the biggest thing is to be yourself, and also just be genuinely interested in his mother and be genuinely interested in his upbringing. And that will take you far. We're going to get into that another video. I'll tell you about my experience when I first met a guy's mom. It was an interesting experience, and I have to share it at another time. But the point here is he will want you to be part of that inner circle. All right, let's get to it. Number 6, he will protect you. He will not let people come for you. This is protecting you physically. Now, what I've learned over time is that different men have different protective instincts. I find that athletes, especially like ball players, like football players, they may have a higher level of protective instinct because, especially if they play defense, right? They have a natural inclination to be like that. And some people are just wired that way if they had younger siblings and things like that. But even if Like if you're dating a guy and he was the baby, and in that place where his protective instincts may not be as high, but he still will do things to protect you. For example, sometimes I go going running in my community. And so there's certain protocol that my husband wants me to follow when I'm out running. He wants me to make sure I take my key. He wants to make sure I take my cell phone. I don't even want to take my cell phone because I'm like, I'm running. Why am I going to take my cell phone? I got to have something extra I have to hold. And he also have given me this like club or something. It's kind of like a club that if I, flick it out is like, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 feet, right, 3 feet long. But he has that for me. So if it's an animal or anything that comes out or somebody try to attack me, I have something to defend myself and I'm not there helpless and vulnerable. So even when he's not there, he has done that to help protect me. Other things, even around the house that we do, that he does to protect me. And even he protects my sanity. He protects my emotions by telling me, hey, babe, you've been working too long. You need to take a break. Or he said, hey, babe, we need to take this week off and really do nothing. Like he really tries to protect me, just not like in more ways than one. You know what I mean? Like really just, and this is getting into another one I have, but generally interested in my well-being and my safety and sanity. Hello, somebody. Emotionally, he won't cheat on you, mistreat you, or don't allow anyone else to treat you in that way. Now, this goes a long way because I know this gets really touchy when we get into in-laws. And if you happen to be married and you're watching this, or you already see signs with the man you're dating seriously, that his in-laws could be a problem, or you guys have had some beef, then I would tell you that's a really tough place for a man. And I've heard some experts say, oh, if he doesn't protect you with his mom, he don't love you. No. I mean, to me, a man should not have to choose between his wife and his mother. Now, let's be clear what the word of God says, which says that a man should leave and cleave to his wife. Yes. However, every man it doesn't happen overnight. And it's something that men have to get to that. Sometimes men have to grow into that, just depending on his level of spiritual maturity, his level of emotional maturity, his ability to communicate effectively. Because men don't like drama, first of all. And honestly, I would be interested in knowing what is it that's going on with you, and really putting more onus on you to not entertain and allow yourself to engage in a fume with his mother or sister. Now, I get it. Some women are pure drama queens. Real talk. And it's really hard not to be in conflict because they may be a harsh speaker. They may just be very cruel or insensitive and all these things. But I would say, one, you would want to try to be the peacemaker in this situation. You would want to be the one that maintain the peace. But also, he still has a responsibility to protect you. But what all am I trying to say in this point is that even if he doesn't do it, doesn't mean he doesn't love you. It may mean that he's just immature. He should do it, and he should, be shutting down his mom. And that may be something you have to kind of coach him and teach him. But you got to do your part and show that you're being amicable. You're being that peacemaker. You're trying to diffuse in the situation on your end, and then you use him to tame his mother and sister if they're coming for you. And again, it may take some time. I know I'm thinking about a young lady, I'm a minister, and so I think she shared this publicly, how her husband was caught between her and her mother-in-law, and he wouldn't do anything. And she was so mad that she felt like he wasn't protecting her and he was leaving her out on a limb by herself. And so she ended up, I don't necessarily recommend this, but she ended up giving her husband the silent treatment for at least for days, if not weeks on end. And she shut down. She wouldn't do anything as a protest that he needed to do something. Now, it ultimately worked. Again, I'm not recommending that. I don't recommend the silent treatment. I recommend that you have open and honest communication. You let them know how to, I'll do a whole nother video. I'm gonna have to do a whole nother video on that, because it's a whole process to how to communicate, how to negotiate, and get your needs met without seeming overbearing or without blaming. So to come up. And if I forget, if you haven't seen that video on my channel and you're watching this, make sure that you comment and let me know. And that leads me to make sure you subscribe and get a copy of my 3-part video series. Oh my God, it is so dope. It is so powerful. It's 3 videos that I put together and you can access free 99. Make sure you just grab the link below. And if you haven't already, make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to this channel and comment below and let me know if these resonate with you and if you've seen any of these signs in your boo. Okay, I want to know, girl. Let me know. Okay, number 7, he will be vulnerable and honest with you. Listen, listen, listen. This is so important. In a society where it seems like people are wearing masks and people don't want to be honest, it tells you something about a man if he's letting you know his true feelings, if he's telling you honestly about certain things that he's dealt with in his past, and he has enough confidence and he has grown enough that he's not ashamed about things in his past, and he can have that level of honesty and vulnerability, you know, letting you know some of his flaws and his weaknesses and shortcomings. And of course, you can't use that against him, but that's something, him creating that safe space is letting him know that, letting you know that, like if he's telling you, hey, this is something I haven't told anybody else, then you know he's giving you part of his heart and you capture part of his heart in that he's seen you as a safe space to share that information. Okay, number 8, he loves and accepts your most authentic self. Oh my God, you guys, this was so big. I know, you know, before I met my husband, I already dated, which is kind of crazy because I wasn't for like 20 years. Let's just say that. I started young. I started really young. So I had already been dating him at least 18 years by the time I met my husband. And I remember that I used to act like this very shy, introverted, quiet girl. And I really couldn't be, I was so walking on eggshell because I feared so much of being rejected by a guy, right? Thinking that I wasn't good enough, thinking that, you know, that either he would abandon me or rejected me, because that was some of my initial blueprint from my very first relationships and very first sexual experience. So I thought that, so it held me back. And you probably, if you resonate with this, let me know in the comments. And so when I met my husband, he preferred that I didn't wear makeup. He preferred me to wear my natural hair. And not that it wasn't a forced thing. He just was letting, I don't know how he explained it, but it was just like in a way that he communicated and shared with me. I just felt so comfortable that I didn't feel pressure by that. And sometimes it's not even like obvious. Like, you know, one day you go out with makeup and one day you don't. And on the days you don't, you see that he compliments you and he's staring at you even more, because the truth is, yeah, we got all these rap video chicks, and even, and I like Cardi B's of the world, right? So I get it. But at the end of the day, a lot of times men just want to see you in your most organic state, because the truth is 90% of the time, you ain't gonna be walking around the house with your face beat. Like this, we ain't gonna do that. And so whether it's on the outside or even in the inside, just really being yourself. When I met my husband and we started dating, I really felt like I was a kid at heart. And let me give you another litmus test that you can use. Like, who's that group of girls or circle that you are like your most authentic self? When you realize that you can be that same version of, exercise that same level of authenticity around your boo as you do around your friends, you know you have something, because that means that you can be organically who you are without fear of judgment. And that's when you know, like, he loves you, because he is not about whether you got the butt job or boobs or how big your butt is and your head, all these superficial things. He's into you as a person. Okay, number 9, he won't intentionally hurt you, period. Not intentionally. And if he does end up hurting you, he will apologize. Now, I'm thinking of so many different cases where my husband did hurt me. And like one time, speaking of the hair thing, I remember when I met him, I had weave in my hair. I was natural, but I had, like, my hair was natural in terms of not being relaxed, but I had weave in my hair. And I remember him asking me, how long is your hair? And I took so much offense to that question. Actually, I almost broke it off with him because I was so offended by that question. And my sister kind of talked me off the ledge, but I don't know if ever, I think I did let him know I felt a certain type of way about that. But he was like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I just, I got a lot of sisters. So I really I can really tell. I'm just very familiar with hair because I have three sisters. And so I grew up around here all the time. And I just was asking, I didn't mean no harm by it. And I think about another case. I can't even remember exactly what, oh, I think I do remember. We were, we were at PF Chang's and he was dozing off. And I was like, are we serious? Like, you just gonna like doze off in the middle of the day? Like, I'm thinking like I'm internalizing, thinking like, am I boring? Not thinking about the fact that, we lived 80 miles apart. So he was driving 80 miles to see me and back and forth. And I didn't even think about the commute or the burden and, him getting up early in the morning and staying late at night, trying to come back and forth to see me. All I can see is, oh my God, he's falling asleep with me. And he's, this is so offensive. And I thought maybe he had a sleeping disorder because I've never experienced, I've never experienced that. Thank God I've never experienced it again with them. But we ended up leaving the restaurant and he ended up apologizing about it. Do we leave the restaurant that time? Because I think we had two things at the restaurant. But anyway, that was one of the restaurants. And he ended up saying, oh, I'm so sorry. It's not that you're bored. I'm just really tired. I didn't realize how tired I was. Anyway, so if he does do something to hurt you, he will show a sincere apology to let you know, listen, I ain't trying to hurt you, baby girl. It's something personal. And another side note, we got to be careful not to internalize everything and make everything about us, because some things it could just be an honest mistake. Okay, number 9. Oh, that was number 9. Number 10. He wants to spend the rest of his life with you and make you his wife, period. Right? And you will know this because a lot of times he will say it. We overcomplicate things, ladies. It's not that complicated. A man who really loves you will let you know he wants to be with you. He wants to take you out the market. And if he feels like he wants to marry you, he'll let you know that too. He'll be asking you questions that's rooted around family, rooted around your idea about marriage, and about a wedding, right? So he may say, hey, what's your values around marriage? Do you want to have more children? What is your thoughts about a wedding? Do you want to have a big wedding? You have a small wedding? Do you want to have a destination wedding? How much do you think you would pay for a wedding dress? How much do you think a man should pay for a wedding ring? These are all probing questions to get an idea to see if you're wifey material, see if he can afford you, to see if he wants to afford you, because some men have money, but they're not trying to spend $40,000 on a wedding. That's just what it is. And so look for those signs, Okay. So the last 2 things that you should look for. Okay, before we go to the very last 2, let me just say this. If any of this resonates with you, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Make sure you hit the like button and hit the notification bell so you can get more content like this. And make sure you grab my 3-part video series. Okay, let's get to it. The last 2 things is provide for you. So this, I feel like all of these can be a separate video in itself. So when I say provide for you, this is him, even that's whether it's at dinner, him paying for it. And he won't put the burden on you. Now, I'm not a big fan of going Dutch or 50-50. I think it's no, I don't believe in that. And I remember somebody first told me that. I didn't even know what he was talking about. Like, oh, Dutch? Oh, what? Yeah. And sidebar, I realized that that's a thing, especially with military men. I don't know what to tell you about that. I don't know what to tell you. I think it's a culture thing that somebody been spreading like wildfires there, and I ain't about that life. So let me say this. So it's nothing wrong for you paying every now and again. I believe on my 3rd or 4th date, I did pay for my husband just to let him know I'm not going to always put the burden on you to provide. Now, I'll just be honest with you guys, because I have my beliefs, but I also got to share with you other things that was happening that I didn't know was happening. And I later learned that my husband's father told my husband that if I didn't pay by the fourth date to stop dating me. And he really respects his father. And I feel like his father is a really upstand, type of guy. So I would say at least offer and be prepared to do it by date 3 or 4, just to say, hey, I'm not so shallow and so stuck in the past that I feel like you have to bear the burden of everything, right? And I think men appreciate that, because it is a heavy mantle to carry. And the truth of the matter is, as women, come on, y'all, we bossing up in these streets, we educating and we degreeing up, we're getting all these things. And a lot of times our education and is higher, and when education is higher, income is soon to follow. So a lot of times we are the breadwinners, but even with that, he still will provide for you. And like in my home, everybody does it different. Me and my husband put everything in one pot of money, in one bucket, but he makes sure that he takes care of the mortgage. He makes sure he takes care of the HOAs, all those things he makes sure is taken care of in that perspective. And when we were dating, he did pay the majority of the time. I think I probably paid that one time. I don't even know if I ever paid again. I don't know. I think every 3 or 4 times, it definitely doesn't hurt to just, be willing to contribute, to let him know that, look, understand I'm not going to leave you out there financially, but he will do things to provide for you. And lastly, but not least, he will love you. And what does that mean? And what does that look like? Well, one, he will think of you. He will pay attention to you. He will really try to figure out what you like and do things that you like, whether that's, yes, getting the flowers, just different things. If you say you saw something you like, he may try to get it for you, or he may do something for you. If he's getting something to eat, he'll ask you if he's coming with you, if, hey, I'm grabbing something, you may grab me something. Like, he would just think of you in those ways. Again, caveat or sidebar, right? Some men are more thoughtful than others, and some men are so used to just being by themselves, they may not think of it. But when that happens, if he's not thinking about you, you can bring it to his attention in a fun, loving way. And then next time he'll know. Like you could say, oh man, how you get yourself a whole plate and you come into my house and you bring me that, I see how you do. And then, next time, if he loves you or thinking of, he will consider you in that way. He like, oh man, she got me last time. Let me make sure I don't make that mistake again. And so he will do that. I didn't really talk about, even though we're talking about the signs that he loves you, I didn't even talk about the definition of love. I just want to drop that really quick before I jump off. And so what I want to say here is, when we think about love, there's various types of love. And one type of love that you want to see throughout, and I mentioned it earlier, well, I mentioned the type, I give you the description, but I didn't give you the term, is agape love. And agape love is sacrificial. So at the end of the day, all of these really are demonstrations or elements of that agape love, where he's showing you that I'm willing to sacrifice my time, my energy, and my resources for you, to show you that you matter and that you are important. And of course, we learn this demonstration of love through God. Jesus, as God gave his only begotten son, right, to die on the cross for us. So that's the ultimate demonstration of love, is sacrifice. And so that's what I want you to know. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you check out some of my other videos to make sure that you stay tuned and get more information about love, relationships, and dating. I'm super excited that you checked out this video. And again, hopefully by now you've already subscribed to my channel, and look for me to drop another video soon. Thank you. Be blessed. Have a great day.